but I was just going to ask you, what's the big extra you want to get out of these couple of days to prepare the team? And what were you happy with and disappointed with in that third test when lots of chances were created but not as many taken as you would have liked?
Yeah, I think you've answered your own question there, Jimmy. Lots of chances, not many taken. So that's to answer your last part of your question. The next couple of days, what we want to do is we want to review hard that series. So we'd like to look back to feed forward for Argentina, what we can do better. So that'll be the objective of today, tomorrow, and then Thursday we start to rip in a bit.
Yeah, with the way the English defended it in that third test and the number of long balls thrown by the Wallabies, was that the traditional fool's gold they were chasing, or there were legitimate chances out there? Like we did make breaks out there, but was there a bit of fool's gold there as well? We're happy with the way that was enacted?
Oh, not really. I think you look at the first 13 minutes there, Jim, we had 2 tries that went begging. Frost catches that ball, he scores. Hodge puts it on Wright's chest, and then it's him versus Stewart, and then there's support play on the inside. It's 2-on-1. So the thing that the biggest difference between Super Rugby and Test level is, at Test level you probably get 4 chances in a game, maximum, and you've got to take them. So it's good learning, something that we've got to be better at.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Well, throwing ahead to Argentina, how much have you watched of their test against Scotland, and how do you anticipate they might be different under Checker, just the way that they'll go about the game, the style, their priorities, etc.?
Yeah, they had we've watched all their games, so they had a really good series against Scotland, obviously winning the series 2-1. Look, the style that they're playing a lot more rugby. They're holding the ball for longer periods, and they're doing really well. So they'll test our defence. And then conversely, from an attacking point of view, they're filling the front field. So there's 13 in the front line, and their spacing is really broad. So we've got to come up with a plan to attack that.
In a weird way, I mean, you're now with the Wallabies and Checkers with another mob, but you've planned a lot to counter Michael Checker teams, right, in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, the years before you joined the Wallabies. Yeah. Can you carry those across? Like, has his brand of footy kind of translated from the Wallabies now to the Pumas, or are they different?
Oh, you're always going to have some philosophical points that you can lean on, but Check's changed with his assistants. You know, you look at all the coaches with longevity in any code. I mean, I look at Sheedy, I look at Bellamy, I look at those sort of coaches. They all evolve by turning over their assistants. So, you know, Check's done that as well with Argentina, and they're playing some good footy.
So he's not. Sorry to paraphrase it, but he's not playing the same style of footy, or trying to get Argentina to play the same style of footy as he did with the Wolves.
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, I think what he's doing, and he's doing really well, is he's relying on the attributes that set some of his players apart, where, you know, whether that's through power or skill, and they're mixing it up. They played really well in that series against Scotland.
Scott, can I ask you, there were some really nice gains by some backs with opportunities in the series. Tom Wright wasn't even in the starting team to start the series, and he played really well in the last 2 tests. What do you see in Tom, and do you think there is that little flexibility to play in the fullback some minutes, or is that just sort of a fill-in situation?
Look, I'll answer it fairly broadly there, Jimmy, in that the next guy in, whoever that is, we expect them to do a job, and that's why we select them. So for someone like Tommy, who did exceptionally well, We knew that he could play 15 from his time at the Brumbies. And, it's sort of like when Geordie Patea played at 15. He can play wing, he can play 13. Wherever they play, we expect them to do well. And that's on the coaching staff, and that particularly is on me. That's my responsibility. So we're always mindful that guys have a preferred position, but if we need them in other positions, they can fill in, and that's, once again, they've got to be adaptable, and we have to coach it well. So he's done really well, mate. He was a real standout.
So is your nominal 15 for Argentina Geordie still, now that because he was given the nod, I guess, in the second test there, he's the next cab off the rank. Is that fair to assume that if he's right, he's going to be the first cab off the rank there?
Yeah, right now, Jimmy, we don't know. So we want to see them come in, we want to see them train, we want to see them compete. So, as you know, Dave, and the coaching staff, we've selected players on their training performance and their training merit in the past, and we'll continue to do it in the future. So right now, I can't answer that, mate, and it's not dodging the question, it's actually being truthful, mate.
With James O'Connor, sorry, mate, I'll cut you off there. With James O'Connor, probably my observation was more rustiness than anything else in that second test. He'll benefit from that 40 minutes he played for Brothers on the weekend, and just having a bit more match running in his legs for these couple of days before he leaves. Yeah,
that's right. And there was a few players that we wanted to spin the wheels on the weekend back in club rugby, because once again we watch the club rugby games because it's important. It is important. It's our grassroots. So that's what we thought was best for James. He's done well. I've just seen him outside. He's fitting well. So we're ready to go again, mate.
Hey, Scott, no stomach gravity for these two tests. Obviously, leaves a big hole in the back line. Will that drastically alter the way that you'll play from an attack perspective? How do you approach that?
No, look, it's marrying what you've got. I'm not worried about what I haven't got. I wish I had $10 million in my account. I don't. So I don't worry about those things. What we're focused on is what we've got. So we've got some exceptional centres there. So you've got Paisami, you've got Ikitau, you've got Simone, and you've got Fiketti. So we've got 4 really good centres. So what we need to do is work out, the strong points and how we can play and how we can get the best out of those blokes.
Well, just on that, do you prefer special? Like, you got guys, the last 2 you mentioned played 12 all year, the other 2 played 13 mostly. Do you care about where they played their Super Rugby? Would you prefer kind of guys who played 12 all year, or you don't mind? Yeah,
Payday, look, we've got preferred positions, and it's not hard to find out what they are, because you just go to the bloke, what do you prefer? And they'll be honest. They're pretty good like that. Having said that, they can mix and match. So Hunter has played for us at 12, but he's also done a job for us at 13. So once again, it goes back to Jimmy's question at the start with Tommy Wright. They will have a preferred position, but we need blokes who are adaptable, and a footballer's a footballer. Wherever they play, they can move around, they know the game, and they can adapt. So we're really big on that.
But there are specific kind of skills to playing a position, right? If you're a specialist 12 and you play it all year, you've got the instincts, as opposed to having played 13, for example.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess I'm asking there, as opposed to being kind of picking your best players and having them all generalists, what value does a specialist bring?
Oh, a specialist, well, it complements, doesn't it? So, I mean, if you've got a specialist 12, in general, they're probably a better ball player than your 13, and they can actually take the pressure off the 10 a wee bit. They might be a crash ball guy at 12. And then once again, it bends the line when there's nothing on. So it just depends what you want to get and how you want to play. But you're right, like there's specialist traits. However, they have to be good enough to adapt and be able to mix and match. You don't want to be a one-trick pony.
Hey, Scotty, Melanie here from the from Melanie here from the Canberra Times. Just wanted to ask Noah how you foresee his contribution in the squad from here, and how you rate his performance in recent games. You spoke about adaptable there just a second ago, and obviously he was quite outstanding stepping in for Quaid.
Yeah, look, he's done well. Noah's done well. It's part of his development. And I think we have to realise he's still quite young as a test footballer. So, like all the other positions and like the question that Jimmy asked at the start, around the 15, you're alluding to who's going to start at 10. We don't know. Right now, we don't know. We have to get them on the training pitch and then let's go. Let's see how they're training, and then we go from there.
There's been some talk of, some people maybe doubt that he's ready for test level international football. Do you obviously back him, though, that he's ready? He's ready to step in at any time?
Yeah, that's why he's here.
One more thing on Dan, now full-time assistant coach there. Have you rated his what he's brought to the Wallabies?
Oh, it's a really nice perspective because you've got another head coach there. So he sees things through from a broader picture as far as the whole organisation. So that's really nice. So you've got varying viewpoints. The other area that Dan's really brought a lot of strength to is around that line out, the maul, that area. And it's really nice to work with him from an attacking point of view because we've got a lot of variation off those areas. So as you would have seen in the last game, there was a lot of variation between being, wide, mauling, breaking out from mauls. There was a fair bit of variation there, so it's good fun.
Is it also just a plus being that he has such a great relationship with the Brumbies boys in the team?
Yeah, he's got a good relationship with all the boys. So all the boys now know why the Brumbies blokes love him.
Thanks, Scotty.
Thank you.
Scott, hello. There's been a couple of pieces in the last week or so, or since the third test, about Michael Hooper and his captaincy and whether, it might be good for him, good for the team if he was kind of replaced as skipper. I'd just like your thoughts on what he brings as leader of the Wallabies and whether you think he's still the right guy for that.
Yeah. So firstly, Tony, excuse my ignorance. I don't read a lot of media, so I get briefed by Marty and that's about it. I haven't heard those things. What does Michael bring? Look, he's smart. He's tactically on the field and the way he communicates with the referees, his evolution, particularly over the last 3 years, has been outstanding. He's a world-class player. So you look at, by position, how opposition teams rate him, he's world class. So I think that answers it.
Yeah, I mean, tactically, so there's been questions around, taking the 3 points and making on-field decisions. Is that kind of left to him or is that a coaching thing, or how much is that kind of the balance between skipper and coaching staff?
It's a bit of a balance, mate. Once again, if it's purely just the coaching staff, then you've got not a lot of trust in your players because they're the ones who are feeling the game. They're feeling the momentum of the game. They're feeling the twists and turns of a game. So we trust our players. So ultimately, it's their decision. We might have our viewpoints. I get slapped on the wrist now for starting to run the tee on before we've actually gone for the post. I get sanctioned. This is naughty. You want to speed the game up. We trust the players, mate.
And what do you feel of his kind of standing within the playing group? How do you think they look at him?
He's revered.
And revered for the way he performs, or his leadership, anything in particular that brings that attitude?
He's a strong leader. Michael listens. He's a great listener. And then he will compress and compartmentalise all the information, and he'll either paraphrase it back or he'll come up with an opinion and a strategy, and we either disagree or we agree with it, and then we go in one direction and away we go. He's brilliant at it.
Great, thank you. And just one more on, does touring Argentina bring anything, unique challenges? What what is it like going there compared to going anywhere else in the world?
Tony, I've got to be honest, mate. I've never been to Argentina.
Oh, okay. Right.
No, so I wouldn't have a clue.
Let's move on.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I had one question there. It's Mel Woods from AAP. Just on Quade, given that he was due to start that first test, can you assume then that he was your first choice, I suppose, number 10? And was that sort of a horses for courses approach, or is he still, I guess, rated as the first choice number 10?
I'm gonna keep going around in circles here, Mel. Once again, let's see how they go on the training field. We've got to review hard, and then we've got 3. So we've got Noah, we've got Quade, and we've got James. So yeah, we don't know what the answer is right now. We're reviewing, and then we're going to train, and then we'll make some decisions.
I know he got that injury obviously when he was warming up, but because he wasn't there, did it change the way that you actually had to approach the games against England?
In general, no, but obviously every player has their preferred style and the way they operate, and you know, there's subtle differences between Quade, Noah, and James, so you have to adapt to that slightly, but in general, no.
And I guess he's got a bit of history with Michael Checker, as in wasn't wanted by Czech, but like, does emotion, you know, will that ever come to the mix, I suppose?
No, it's just business, Mel. So, you know, someone doesn't like your article and doesn't want to buy it, then that's okay. They might buy it next time. No, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one. Thanks.
Thank you.
Aussie, one last one, mate. You're good mates with Eddie Jones. He's been linked with a return to Australian rugby. Would you like to see him back in the green and gold in some way, shape or form?
I'd love to have Eddie back in Australia. You know, in what capacity, I don't know. I just think he'd be great for the game heading into 27, just the way that he promotes the game, the way he drums up, I suppose, business from your end and interest. Yeah, and look, I'm biased because I'm mates with him and I've worked with him. But at the same time, and I want to make this really, really clear, so you can't draw the bow that Eddie Jones, you know, that Wisemantel wants Eddie Jones back. Mate, I think Dave Rennie and this coaching staff are exceptional. So, you know, what capacity, I don't know. It could be in an ambassador's role for Australian Rugby Union, but it'd be lovely to have Eddie back.
Do you think he'd be up for it, mate? In all your chats around the world, that he would like a role back in Australian rugby in some fashion?
I wouldn't have a clue. When I
You would have a clue.
payday. No. In all, like, I'll be dead straight with you, mate. I hooked up with Eddie on Saturday. We went and we had 2 hours together, and all we did was speak about footy. It was just footy, and that's the way our relationship is. It's always footy, having a yarn, a beer, some fish and chips, and away we went. That was it. It's never about the future and ambition and where you want to go and who you want to coach. That has never, ever been part of it. So it's just purely footy.